Hey, I'm super excited about this segment, the set of possible outcomes. You know, when I was reflecting on some of my teaching days, I used to teach personal finance, Algebra 2, and AP Calculus. And in AP Calculus, we spent a lot of time figuring out what inputs would give us a particular maximum output of a function. Or, hey, what input do we need to maybe avoid because that will give us an output that's an absolute minimum, something that we don't want. And so the outcomes were determined by the inputs that you put in there. And so then as I teach personal finance and then have transitioned into this mission in my life of helping people and coaching people through life's biggest decisions, I saw a lot of overlap. And so what I'd like to share with you today is some filters that you might want to run through your potential inputs. So what I see is that people will come into our office, let's say Cadillac, Traverse City, you know, they might be from Big Rapids, Manistee, kind of all over northern Michigan. And they'll just start talking through where they're at. And what we find a lot of times are people that are just full of fear. They're just grabbing onto that fear. And then through education and through learning and coaching, you can see them slowly kind of open up and let that fear go away. And that's a powerful thing. So here's what I'd like to help you potentially do. Let that fear go away. Let that fear fly away. Okay, so what are some potential inputs that we see? Well, people want to know, what if I change my job? Maybe make a little bit better income job. What if I lose my job? What if I want to retire? That's a big question we answer a lot. What happens if I need to go into a long-term care situation? What happens if I pass away? What happens if my spouse passes away? What happens if I hit every single thing on my bucket list? These are the kind of inputs that are fun to strategize on. Okay, so here's your filter that I think you should run these potential inputs through so that you could see where the outputs are and then what you might want to do about that. Okay, so the first thing is income. You can't have retirement without income. And so when it comes to income, you want to know your numbers. What is your contractual lifetime income? So that might be Social Security, pension, maybe an income annuity. So figure out those numbers. And then you look at what your expenses are. Give, save, live, okay? And know what those are. Differentiate between the wants and the needs and just try to articulate a number there. Then when you take your income minus your expenses, you're going to know your cash flow. If your cash flow is negative because you're spending more, well, where are you going to get that money from? A lot of times people go to their retirement savings. So when they do that, we want to take how much they're taking out of their retirement accounts, divide it by their portfolio, and that'll give us a withdrawal rate. Because the biggest concern a lot of people have and why it matters to you is, am I going to run out of money? And so by figuring out your withdrawal rate from your cash flow, you can know, the probability of that. Okay, the second thing is when it comes to investments, I think you should just simply calculate how much money you have in no market risk, how much money you have in market risk. And by market risk, I would say bond market, stock market, those would be easy numbers to calculate. Just put the two numbers side by side, because then at the end of the day, you could just say, this is how much I have in no market risk, and this is how much I have in market risk, and that'll give you a good idea of your risk profile. Are you taking too much risk? Are you not taking enough risk? But at the end of the day, are you taking calculated risk? That's where here at Centennial Wealth, we get to help absolutely give you a number if you want, from 1 to 100 on what your risk score of your portfolio is. It's an awesome little tool that we use. The next thing is going to be your tax diversification. Add up how much do you have in tax-free accounts. These are going to be the Roth IRAs, the Roth 401ks, and some life insurance. Then you look at the tax deferred account totals. That's going to be your 401ks, 403bs, simple IRAs, that such, traditional IRAs. And then in your taxable accounts. So these would be like non-qualified accounts, savings accounts, stuff like that. That'll just give you a quick picture of how tax diversified you are. What happens if you pass away, right? Look at your tax diversification on what's going to happen and what the outcome might be. Then the next one would be your health care, okay? What years are you going to be on Medicare? What years might you be on marketplace health insurance, if any? And then what years might your employer give you health insurance. And by doing that, you got to get a little time frame of your health plan, and then you can also look for any kind of IRMA risk or long-term care needs. And then finally, what's your estate plan? How many of your assets are likely to go through probate, and how many are going to be avoided by probate by just doing some simple estate planning. And so those are all really actionable items. We help with this all the time. I hope that filter, that graphic, you can see, the different filters that you want to run through. But then the last one I think is probably the most important, and it's your legacy. How close to your life's mission are you hitting, your purpose, right? And what gets in the way? I think a lot of times distractions do. And so maybe take a time to reflect, go through this. I hope it was helpful. Thanks for watching. We appreciate you. I hope you have a great day.